Please welcome back to the Armstrong and Getty Show, Jen's Erik Gould, the editor-in-chief and co-founder, co-developer of the Knife Media said website, theknifemedia.com.
It's a website all about cutlery, different sized blades, folding and not.
No, you're misinformed. Headlines are addictive. Media is polarizing. News leaves a bad aftertaste. You can cut through it all.
There you go.
The Knife Media. Jens, how are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing well. And you?
Excellent. Excellent. Listen, let's just start at the top of your webpage for our weekly chat about news and bias and spin and that sort of thing. Headline number one. Well, I tell you what, let's go with Zuckerberg first. 4 headlines on Zuckerberg's testimony deconstructed. What'd you think of the coverage? What do you have to say on it?
Well, look, I mean, one great thing about the media is most people don't have the time to watch 5 hours of testimony. So the media condenses the facts for you, and that's a beautiful thing. But in this case, it condensed the facts and added a lot of subjective spin and opinion. And what was interesting was...
I'd like to just jump in, and that has been my experience since I started really getting into news, that all these hearings, these are the most misreported things that happen in America. Because they're so long, the media has so much opportunity to shade it completely whatever direction they want to.
Yeah, they can slant, which means they can cherry pick particular quotes and emphasize those. And if you go and listen to the full hearing, you go, wait a minute, that's not the impression I got at all.
And yep, I've had that happen many times.
Yeah, and what was interesting about this one is that they cherry-picked it and spun it in different directions. So some outlets portrayed it positively, so you could see that he did a good job, and some portrayed it negatively, but they used the exact same facts, and it was the same hearing. So that's evidence that, well, they're both spun just in different ways.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm interested here. CNN's headline was Zuckerberg unscathed after 5-hour Senate grilling session. I disagree. I think he came off as an incredibly capable supervillain. How's that for spin?
That's actually definitely factual. We should go with that one.
Thank you very much. Fox News, Zuckerberg touts plan to protect Facebook users, but Congress appears skeptical. That seems like a pretty good headline to me.
Well, if you look at the story, remember last week we talked about subtle spin words? The but in there is important. So the but weighs the skeptical Congress more than him touting his plan. So if you read
a lot of weight in the but, you're saying.
But, yeah.
There's a lot of but weight, yes.
Yes, that but is a good word that to keep an eye out for. That does shade things. Excellent. I learn something every time we talk to you.
Okay, let's.
Well, good.
How would you have, or I don't even know if you do this, but how would you have summarized all the testimony if you watched the whole thing?
Well, we did our own raw data of the testimony where, it's a scientific process. You got to weigh it out. You got to look, first of all, no spin, no subjective opinion, just the facts of what he said and what the senator said. And then you balance it as much as possible. You try to do as unbiased an account as you can. And it's impossible to be 100% objective. But if you do the best you can get closer. And that's just not the effort that's being made in most media outlets. So,
right.
But you can read our raw data and see, it's a very different experience when you read it that way.
Another headline from theknifemedia.com, a bias towards conflict, the coverage of Trump's Syria tweets. Tell us about it.
Well, with this one, look, the tweet itself, you can say what you want. It's provocative. Maybe it's alarming. Maybe it does.
Russia vows to shoot down any and all missiles fired at Syria. Get ready, Russia, because they will be coming nice and new and smart. That's the one we're talking about?
That's the one we're talking about. But the thing is the way a lot of outlets covered it, jumped to conclusions and emphasized the likelihood that this means we're going to war with Russia in Syria. Now, that could happen, but there are also other potential outcomes, and they didn't talk much about the other ones. It reminded us a lot of North Korea a few months ago. Remember the Rocket Man tweets and all of that? Well, at the time, the news pretty much had us believing that we were going to war with North Korea. Now, a few months later, that hasn't happened. And in fact, relations might be getting better. Trump's supposed to meet Kim next month, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to war with Russia, but the news points us in that direction. It's almost as if they want us to go to war.
Yeah, what do you take from a story like this one and North Korea, I suppose, where MSNBC and Fox are leaning the same direction? Almost everybody's shading the same direction. Is that just because war sells newspapers or gets eyeballs?
Well, I'm not in their in their assignment room, so I can't tell you for sure. But I can tell you that yes, the drama does sell. And actually, we did a piece this week as well called 50 Ways to Spin the Phrase Trump Said.
Wow.
And so we looked at all the different ways that the media takes the phrase Trump said or Trump tweeted and spins it. So, some words make him look angry, some make him look violent. You've got words like slams and scolds and hammers and takes a jab at and blasts and scorns. There's 50 of them, and we did a whole list.
And you would suggest that they should just say Trump said and let people decide for themselves?
Yeah, because then people can evaluate what they think of it. And if they think that he's being violent or angry, great, and maybe he was. But if the news tells you that that's definitely what he was, then it's telling you what to think, and that doesn't help us think critically.
Yeah, and I'm aware of those words, and it still puts an impression in my head. So it's difficult to deal with.
Wow, where is that article, Jens?
That's a good one.
Jens Erik Gould, editor-in-chief of the Knife Media. Where is that on site?
If you click on more topics and you click on spin, you'll see it as the first one.
Ah, I see.
Back to the war thing for just a second. If all the news outlets are talking about how we're near war and you're the news outlet that says, I don't think we're really that close, you're definitely not going to get as many viewers, eyeballs, etc. It's kind of like when we're talking about weather in the summertime, if you're in a hot climate, you want to be the outlet that's got it saying it's 101. If you're saying it's 99, that's just, you don't get as much excitement or as much attention. So, and
there's an incentive to do that also as a reporter. I mean, I was a reporter for many years in our newsrooms. It's not stated overtly, but there is a implied incentive to dramatize because you get more clicks, you get rewards that way, and it's not necessarily a good way of doing things.
No.
You have also delved into the coverage of the Michael Cohen raid. Anything in particular leap out?
Well, this one was interesting because we did a little experiment, and the articles. So we analyze a number of articles for all these stories, right? And we run it through our whole analysis process. The ones we chose came out right when the news broke, so they were shorter, and they turned out to be very fact-based. Well, that's interesting. So there wasn't much spin. And then a few hours later, we took a look at the updated versions, and lo and behold, there was a lot more spin. So what happened? How did that happen? Well, the first thing is, we hypothesized that when a story first breaks, they're still gathering the news. So they don't have time to, wax and wane with all this editorializing. But the other thing that was interesting is by the time the updates came out, Trump had commented on it. And once Trump was in the story and they put his comments, then they sensationalized his comments, which made the story more spun. And so lesson learned potentially is if you want to read factual news, read it when it first breaks or read stories that don't involve the president.
That is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Trump slammed the move Monday. Trump lashed out. Trump, in an extraordinarily angry response, a furious Trump escalated his attacks. I mean, again,
exactly.
Listen, I like vivid writing. I like, good, interesting writing. I don't necessarily want to read science-based news all the time, but I do think there's absolutely a value in understanding how you're being led.
Right.
Yeah, and we say it all the time. There's nothing wrong with opinion, and op-ed pages are great. And if you're going to write an editorial, wonderful. We write them too, but acknowledge them as op-eds, right? Or if you want to read, poetry or novels or entertainment or sensational, whatever, it's fine. But just acknowledge that that's what it is. The problem is when you pass it off as fact and as news because it's not.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at the knifemedia.com and looking at a variety of stories that. You guys rate the total integrity of the various news outlets, and as we pointed out before, I mean, here's one story where the BBC gets 80% total integrity, and the Washington Post gets 38%. Here's another story where the WAPO does much, much better. Here's Bloomberg at the top of the heap, and CNN at the bottom. Then over here, Newsweek leads the field, and the HuffPo is pathetic. So you guys do your thing without regard to ideology to whatever extent is humanly possible.
Yeah, we look at. In fact, our analysts when they analyze the stories, they do it blind, so they don't know which outlet it is.
Oh,
great idea!
Nice,
great idea because it's hard to fight off your perceptions when you go in if you know ahead of time.
Okay,
Definitely.
so folks can enjoy it. We've posted at armstrongandgetty.com under the hot link section the link to 50 ways to spin the phrase Trump said. People can get to know theknifemedia.com. Jens Erik Gould. Jens, we appreciate it very much. Good to talk to you.
It's great to be on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Trump scolded, Trump blasted, Trump claimed. Obviously,
Trump
all those words
whimpered, simpered,
all those words
slurred.
designed to lean you a certain direction. Just say Trump said, let me figure out what I think it means.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so if you want to go violent, and they have examples of all of this, Trump slammed, tears into, scolds, hammers, rails, took a jab at, rips, lashed out, fires back, blasts, traded online barbs, war of words, attacking, scathing early morning tweet, etc. Then there's also angry. That was attacks. Vent's anger erupted. Vent's frustration, rant, rages, fumed, angrily tweeted, foul-mouthed tantrums, blistering comments, tweet storm, arrogant, bragged repeatedly, boasts, gloats, blusters, and on it goes.
Erupted's a good one because only, unhinged people erupt, so. Or did he just say it?
He erupted. I was there.
All right.